Welcome to the Safari Yangu podcast, where we tell our stories authentically, experiences that shaped us, and experiences that continue to shape us. On today's podcast episode, I'm joined by one Jackline Wambua.
Hi.
Karibu.
Asante sana.
Karibu sana. Yes. So, our guest is a bold, brilliant young woman who turned her ambition into action, going from Africa to Stanford, where she studied economics and quantitative economics. And now she has confounded two impactful companies right after her graduation. And she's not just chasing opportunities. She's creating them for others across Africa. And if you ever wondered what's possible for you, this conversation is for you. So, Wambua, karibu sana.
Asante sana, Helen.
I can't wait for you to share all those good details about the things you're up to. And maybe before we get started, could you let our viewers know a little bit background about you? Yeah.
Yes, of course. Thank you for having me in Safari Yangu podcast. I'm so honored to be here with you. My name is Jackline Wambua. I come from Mwea, in Embu County. So watu wa Mwea, hello. I'm an alumni of Starehe Girls Centre and also an alumni of Stanford University. I recently graduated, so just figuring out still life. And yeah, I come from a family of I have one brother and my mom, so
wow.
yeah, a small family. Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, a lot of people, you've talked about going to Starehe and then going to Stanford.
Yes.
You're quite the ambitious person, and that requires lots, very high IQ.
Yes.
Could you probably give us a little bit background about your journey? How did you even get to Starehe, and now what is that thing that opened doors for you to even go study abroad?
That's a very good question. So my story of how I got to Starehe was, I think it comes from my mom, and I credit my educational journey to my mom. And this is because right from a very young age, my mom has always been a champion for education. And so my mom is a single mom. She's widowed. And so right after class 7, I was always stopping in my class, and I told my mom, I want to go to a very good primary school so that I go to a very good secondary school. And that is how my mom pushed herself, and she took me to a school called Tenry School in Embu. And in Tenry School in Embu, there I found very good teachers. For example, I remember one specific teacher who really helped me apply to Starehe because he knew the situation of my mom. And then when Mr. Kanake came, he told me about Starehe Girls, and I was like, I want to apply here and I want to go here. One, because I get to have a smoother path to education, but also it's a great school and a national school. So that is how we applied, and with a lot of prayers, I got into Starehe.
Nice.
But I credit my mom's ability to value education and to prioritize it above other things in our lives. Yeah.
Nice. And of course, you had your good 4 years. How did you actually get to Stanford? Let's
Good.
talk about that.
Yes, that was a question. So I had my good 4 years in Starehe, and in my third year when I was in Starehe, I remember one of our teachers called Madame Bogori came to talk to us, and she was talking to us about a program in Switzerland called Eglon College. And I was one of the people who raised their hands and said, Madame Bogori, I cannot go and live in a foreign country for 2 years. That is 2 years of my life wasted without going to university.
Yeah.
And she took her time to talk to us and told us, just don't look at it as 2 years of your life taken away. Think of it as 2 years in a new continent, in a new country, learning new things before you go to uni. And once she explained that, and kudos to teachers who just take their time out of their normal teaching time to mentor students, because Madame Bogori did that for us. She mentored and talked to us into the dreams and the doubts that we had about the dreams and opportunities that are coming. So when she talks to us about that, I was like, I could go to Eglon College and I could spend the 2 years learning about a new continent, a new place. So when I realized that I wanted to do that, I approached the scholarship office in Starehe and I said, you know what, if you have a chance and if I pass my KCSE, please, when you're listing people to be interviewed to go to Eglon College in Switzerland, please list my name. And the time came, I did well in KCSE, and my name was listed there, and that's how I got to earn the scholarship to go in Eglon College in Switzerland. I did to Switzerland for 2 years, and that's where I earned my IB. And then in Switzerland, I met, obviously when you're in Switzerland and you're finishing your IB, you have a chance to apply to to other schools in the United States, because that is the order. You finish IB and then you apply to United States. And that is the time where I started looking for universities. And I'm a very prayerful person. I was looking at universities in the US. I had Columbia, I had Stanford, I had Harvard. And when I prayed, Stanford kept on ringing. And fortunately, one of the Starehe boys, his name is James Okaro, was in Stanford. So I quickly called him and I was like, tell me about Stanford. Tell me about Stanford. And he told me everything. And for there, it was just a matter of focusing on the essays, praying a lot, because I'll be very honest, I think so many people are brilliant in the world and so many people have dreams that I have and want to get there.
Yeah.
But I also think it takes a certain type of grace to get into some places. For me, at least, that is my life path. So with all that and an excellent college advisor, her name is Edith Mileto, that's how I was able to get into Stanford. Yeah.
Nice. It looks like for you to get to Stanford, it's like you had people holding your hand.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of times, especially in the context of young people out here, most people either they don't know about the opportunities or they actually don't know how to go about it.
Yeah.
And you had these people like telling you like, oh, this is where to apply. This is the type of essays to read for. This is what you need to do. And that's a really amazing thing.
Yeah.
And that,
yeah.
sorry.
Though I must say, like, sometimes there's the idea of people knowing where the opportunities are and helping me apply, but also there's a part of the work that I do myself. Stanford, I picked it out. I looked for it. I was like, what is this school? What is happening here? And the point in my life happened to help me apply there.
Nice.
But I looked and searched for it. So just to encourage anyone there who who sometimes we think opportunities, the people around us are not giving us opportunities. Maybe that is not the style of life that it's presenting you. Maybe another style is you find the opportunities, then people around you will help you grab and obtain the opportunities. So it can be either way. Yeah.
That's like really good advice actually.
Yeah.
And it kind of takes me back to right now, a lot of also young people, they spend time on their phones.
Yeah.
They have access to the internet.
Yes.
But they're not necessarily looking for opportunities.
Yeah.
It's more about consumerism, like
Yeah.
whether it's social media platforms and all that. So if it's TikTok, it's just scroll. So from what you're saying, it's important to know what you want.
Yeah.
And to now do your research so that when people are holding your hand,
Yeah.
you know where to actually, it's like you have a specific question. It's like, I want to get to Stanford. How do I go about it?
Yes.
Where are you stuck and how can we help you?
Exactly. And even there's, sorry to cut you short, there's also like there's sometimes people think that information is rare and scarce. And that may be the case in most things, but it is also not the case in most other things, because it's not a perfect world. So if something is bad, there's definitely something is good somewhere, right? There are so many websites where you can go and sign up for newsletters. There's so many companies that send out newsletters every week. I personally, I go and sign up for those newsletters and I receive opportunities through those newsletters.
That's
and
true.
Newsletters are free. The websites are free. You know, there are those ways of getting opportunities that are very, I would say, mundane and subtle, but they're still opportunities. Sometimes we glorify how opportunities are gotten, you know. LinkedIn people post a lot of opportunities and then people are like, it's sometimes it's not a scam. Sometimes it's true, you know. So to say, as much as opportunities like sometimes look thin to get or scarce to get, there are avenues of getting opportunities and we should tap into those, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you went to Stanford and you chose to do economics. Why economics for you?
That's a good question. Actually, I wanted to do international relations. I'm someone who's always been interested in solving for poverty. And this is derived from my Starehe journey. Starehe impacted a lot, but also Starehe took a lot of people and a lot of girls like me who are from low income families, and the education was transformative. And we come from communities that people are living in high levels of poverty. So I've always been obsessed with poverty. I thought the government was a problem and all that. And so I've always been obsessed with poverty. And so when I was growing up, I thought I wanted to become an activist and be in the United Nations, something that I got to do. And I wanted to do international relations. But then when I got to university, I realized that I had actually done a lot of research on my own. My mind was really expanded on that. When I got into classes in Stanford, I was always the student who was talking a lot or asking questions a lot. And to be honest, in classes where you're the loudest one, the one who is always talking, I don't know how much you're really learning. You might be the A-star student there, but my idea of university was not to become an easy A-star student. My idea was to push myself, but also push myself in a purpose-tied education. And that is when I came across economics, which was being taught by a professor called Pascaline Dupa. And Pascaline Dupa is one of the people who introduced the free malaria nets in Kenya for young children.
Oh, wow.
And so I walked into her Economics 1 lecture, and she was talking about how they've been working on poverty, poverty projects in Africa, across Africa. And I was like, I want to do that. I want to design projects, I want to design policies, I want to design interventions that can actually move the needle. And so, for example, the malaria net, it's clear when most young children started receiving malaria nets, malaria was highly eradicated in Africa.
Yeah.
And that is something that we can see. It's not more of, sorry to say, saying a speech and then we don't even know. The impact is direct.
True.
So for me, economics was that subject that is challenging one, but also something that got me in my soul, in my body, in everything, in terms of, I knew if I know the methods, I can design programs, I can design interventions that can move the needle. And if they don't move the needle, I can get the information and clear evidence, because you get to do econometrics, you get to do a lot of measuring and data analytics that allows you to see if whatever you're doing is working. And coming from a place and coming from a country where there's a lot of propaganda on what is working and what is developing, I wanted to get into the truth of it, and economics was there for me. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That sounds like a very specific journey. It's like one of those aha moments. You're like, yeah, this is exactly what I want to do, because it also kind of takes me to the point of maybe like solving a certain need in a particular way.
Yeah. And solving in truth and integrity. And since I'm a person who really values development economics, I think the world is flooded with a lot of good intentions. And there's this quote that says, good intentions that lead to hell. And so I think it's good to employ frameworks that lead to where we want to be. Frameworks that are grounded in truth or data, or, just looking at what you're doing and asking yourself, can I measure that it's actually working? Or is it something good to do? And if it's something good to do, maybe think back of what is something good to do that can actually move the needle for sure,
Yeah. And now that you've talked about like poverty and people like doing impactful work towards eradicating poverty, I realize that I've been in the nonprofit sector for a while, and I realize that sometimes people say things they would do, but they don't do what they say. It's like the impact in the last mile communities. It's never felt. What do you think about that?
That's a very good question. Actually, one that I thought later we'll talk about entrepreneurship, but one that actually thrusted me into entrepreneurship. Before I got into entrepreneurship, I was really into the nonprofit world. Still am, but very, very strategic and cautious about it. I think I got into a space where, again, there's a lot of performance of what is good, what is impact, what is, what sounds good for the television, what sounds good for social media.
Yeah.
I think those things are nice, and likes and followers are nice. But at the end of the day, I'm going to touch on death. And I think death is very important to reflect on as we live and as we do our work. Because at the end of the day, when you leave the world, you live with the integrity of your heart or the integrity of your soul. The rest of the fame, the knowing, the followers, you don't live with that. So the performance and I would really call it performance activism or performance doing, it doesn't get us anywhere. And the truth is, as for example, let's look with climate change. So much money has been poured into it. But sometimes you can see there's nothing happening. At the end of the day, you will see floods happening and people will die.
True.
It's because the truth always comes out. Performance can only get you as far. But because the world is moving, the art system and the ecosystem itself knows how to produce the truth. We will always see the truth. So I, in that sense, like, I'd like it to call us, even as young people, I know there are opportunities, even anyone in power, let us lead with integrity. And let us inspire following, not by performance, but by doing. It may take a lot of time, Maybe that is not what is awarded in terms of money, in terms of all that. But if we change the culture of performance to actually accountability and inspired action, then we can move forward. Because even when we perform, at the end of the day, the truth comes out,
Yeah.
and we are still stuck where we are. So, yeah, let's take it.
No, that kind of reminds me. The other day, I was watching the news, and I came across a clip of I don't know, somebody's talking about the way they came into government and they prayed, and from that time we have never lacked rain.
Yeah.
It just sounds like one of those things. It's just performance anyway, and it's integrity is something I think even in Kenya our leadership lacks. That is a story for another day.
Yeah, and something else I also think it's easy to point towards the leader and say, oh, you lack integrity. But also I like to encourage all of us to, you can point out and hold that accountable, but also it's good to ask ourselves that if you had the same office, the same money, the
What
same
would you do?
position, would you do something different? If the answer is no, then change starts with you, not the other person. When you change yourself internally, I believe you're able to change the world. You're able to change whatever is happening. And I think the biggest change is not, we can point fingers and hold people accountable, but also one of the biggest changes starts within, and then we start with small ripple effects. Because the truth is that people in government may not be there for long, so we are the next leaders, and if that is already cultivated, then
that kind of reminds me the idea of garbage, and the way people will be like, oh, the government is doing very little about garbage, that's why drainages are blocked. But most of us, sometimes when we walk around town, you have a plastic
paper,
bottle,
you throw
paper,
it.
it's like garbage all over, and we contribute to it, and we don't hold ourselves accountable. So I see what you mean. It's like a two-sided coin, in two sides of the coin. Everybody has to sort of do like their part, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now if you go back now to like you getting to Stanford, I still kind of believe it's such a big deal anyway.
Thank you.
Yes,
it is a big deal.
It is a big deal.
Yeah.
So for me, I would like you to probably take us through like what was that big thing that you did to get to Stanford? Like how did you prepare so that we can now get to your company?
That's a very good question. I think I think each school in the United States has its own personality. And I think Stanford has a personality of entrepreneurship. And if you look at Stanford, it's one of the schools that produces the biggest entrepreneurs in the world, big startup owners, big company owners. So there's that spirit of entrepreneurship. And the spirit of entrepreneurship, the word is big. Entrepreneurship is doers who do action and doing, and starting things.
Yeah.
So I think that's so Stanford has that type of spirit. It also has a spirit, an angle of impact, and so, but also the weather is good. So anyway, so when you look at that, I knew that. I don't know if I knew that, but I was that person. So when you look at my life in Starehe Girls, one, I was the president of a club called Interact, and I was actually the charter president of Interact.
Oh, nice.
And with Interact, we got to do a lot. We used to go to help the sick. We used to do dining hall cleaning. We used to plant trees. There was a lot of initiative done to make the club grow. During my time, it was one of the best clubs, actually. Not if it was the best club, actually. And during my reign, it got to grow exponentially, and we got to do a lot of pioneer projects that had not been done before. We got to go to Mji wa Wazee. We got to draw some pictorials for sick people, clean the animals, plant trees. So there's that character of doing. So that was one thing that really greatly contributed to me going to Stanford. So I would say the entrepreneurship spirit. It shows resilience. Not the doing spirit. It shows and you don't need to be a leader to do this. There are so many projects you can do and do. It shows the ability to push yourself and kujituma, really. Something else that came upon was they also look for a lot of resilience. So my story showed a lot of resilience. You'd see in my village, I was always like collecting money for orphans and taking that. So there's that story that comes together of this person is a doer. This is not someone who just takes a seat back in the society and just, so there was that story that was coming together. And then when it came academically, I was also taking I challenged myself academically, and I did well academically. So also that impacted my performance. But there's also the aspect of who you are as a person. So in some of the essays, for example, they ask you, tell us a story about, like, maybe a difficult situation that you faced and you are at crossroads. And I remember telling them a story about KCSE, or it's KCP, where the whole country was trying to steal exams, and I'm there. It's just a matter of integrity, and how do you stand in the midst of noise, in the midst of pressure and performance? How do you still maintain your integrity, or maintain your character as a person? So there's those characteristics of each school. So I think that is what that's how the story came about.
Nice.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it actually does. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like it's like weaving a basket.
Yes.
It's not like that one thing. It's something that builds up. So if anyone wants to, like, sort of make an application there, it's either they have to build on their leadership.
Yes.
Be innovative, like give back.
Yeah.
Things like those.
Yes, that is my story though. So I would say if anyone wants to get there, I would actually pose to you the question, if with the talents and the gifts that you have, the resources and where you are right now, what can you do with that? When I didn't have, like, most people in my school maybe applied with having built big and non-profits and companies, and others were chemistry gurus and all that, but I wasn't that. But I was in a village where students were struggling with STEM subjects. I would help them, I would mentor them. Or people were like, I could see, like, there were some orphans in my village. I would mobilize my family and take stuff there. So it's, how can you be great where you are? And greatness is not what the world deems great. Greatness is the effect you're able to make in people's lives. And it's not even people's lives in terms of numbers, even one person. So I would pose to you the question, how can you be great where you are? Because maybe Stanford is not the one for you, maybe it is, but for sure, if you lead with greatness and doing your best with what you have, you will land where you're supposed to be. Yeah.
Nothing to add. That's actually very interesting. And that kind of takes me to your company. You've started something very great, actually, and you want to help people in Kenya, across African countries, to get into these Ivy League schools, or even get opportunities, whether it's here back home or abroad. Tell us a little bit more about that now.
That's a good question. I think the company started from a point of like, these opportunities, anyone can get them. I'm a girl from Mwea. And I don't want to say I'm not a little girl from Mwea. I'm saying these opportunities, sometimes this is controversial, but sometimes you wonder if the people who are there are even as great as the ones that back at home. Or it's just a matter of they knew where the opportunities they are and they went there,
I see.
So for me, I wanted to democratize education, to democratize opportunity, but also to democratize success and infiltrate these opportunities into people. And most of the times they're usually put at a very big pedestal and all that. So with the company, we were thinking of, there's so many students who don't know how to get into these places, who've never met people who have gotten into these schools, yet they're normal people like me, yet there are people who are still figuring out life like me, So with the company, we are trying, we want to be able to open the world to as many people, to the creme de la cremes, the big schools, to as many people as possible, so that more communities are reached, more, there's more infiltration of these things. It's not like 1 in 1,000 per place,
True.
Because the truth is that so many people are gifted, so many people have the brains, and they belong to these places. And even though maybe they don't get into these big schools, we also take you through a path of discovering other opportunities. You get to meet very many different people with different paths who maybe did a university in Kenya and then decided to go do a PhD abroad, or others who decided to stay in Kenya and then they just work with people abroad and help them on how to access countries like Kenya and all that. So it's a matter of building a global village, but a village that diffuses ideas together, but also a village of equality, you know, not always thinking that maybe the white person is the one who has the opportunity. Also seeing another black person who's been there, who's been through the journey, and knowing the journey is not for the few chosen, the journey is for everyone who has the opportunity. Yeah.
So you're bringing opportunities closer home.
I'm bringing opportunities closer home, but also it's a way of saying to people back home and in the world and in places where this has never been, it's a way of saying you belong.
Wow.
And this is there for you. Try it. If it's not yours, fine. But if it is, then grab it, you know?
Nice.
It's more of saying you belong, really. You belong.
What's the process like? Is it like you provide coaching, mentorship, or how does it work?
So once we take you in the company, we work with you. Let's say you are in grade 9. We expose you to all these opportunities. We give you like a list of universities and a list of other like fellowships and opportunities, and we allow you to like stay with them and explore and Google and, you know, just know that. So we just like first of all provide with you, this could be the world. We want to first broaden your world. You know, it's taking you from like, let's say 1 bedroom house into a mansion and telling you you can live in the bedroom or you can live in the first floor or third floor.
Yeah.
So we first open that. Then from there we look at you as a person. We look at what classes are you taking? What has been your journey so far? What do you like? What are you aspiring to do? And you can always change your mind because life is always, you're changing. But we try and map out your life and not mapping out your life in certainty, but also mapping out your life by seeing what are the necessary steps you can take onwards to prepare you to be a good, to have a good launch pad when applying to these schools. So let's say we've taken you in grade 9. We work with you in grade 9. We'll provide mentorship. We'll map out that for you. And then maybe in grade 10, we start therefore introducing you. Maybe you've chosen schools now. You've come and told me, oh, maybe I want to do engineering or I want to be a doctor or I'm still figuring out. That's okay. We tell you the best strategy to do if you're still figuring out is this. If you for sure know you want to become an engineer, can we find an alumni in your school who can even help you get an internship? How can we best tap your potential where you are? So we start mapping out that for you. At the same time, we introduce SATs or any other exams with you. And then from there, you start into the essay writing process. That is grueling because you have to write, you have to, you know. And in that process, we work with you. You write the first draft, we edit it with you. You look for other schools you want, we edit it with you. The time for the deadlines, we keep track of them. And then we help you apply to at least 6 schools out there, and you know, when you do your best, we see what comes out.
Oh wow, that sounds like a very wholesome program, because I kind of feel like if you're taking a student from say your grade 9 and then you mentor them all throughout, by the time they're getting to like say now from 4, they'll be well prepared whether to take up those SATs, to prep for those particular schools, and it kind of increases their chances in comparison to somebody who is just sat there waiting for acha nimalize form 4, I applied to Stanford.
But that's it, because this is just starting out. If you're finished form 4 or whatever stage of life you are, you finished university, and apply for a PhD, the sun has not yet dawned. If you come with us, we come up with a plan for you. How best can you put your best foot forward? We strategize, and we also offer consultations, so we can basically make lemonade where it is, or we work with what is there. You know, that's the that's the attitude.
I think I think that you've always known what you wanted, and I like that also Stanford and being in that particular sort of environment has also sort of shaped who you are and the way you think and how you are even thinking outside the box, because for you it's not just about the fact that, oh, I got this opportunity and that's the end of it. You're not thinking, you're like, how can I make somebody in Botswana, in a deepest village in Namibia, in Kenya, in Uganda, get the same opportunities I've had? And that's like really impressive. and amazing.
Yeah,
And I
thank
can't
you.
actually wait to see where that goes and how much impact you will have, because I believe that that's the one thing when it comes to opportunities. Sometimes people get locked
Yeah.
because either they, as we said, either they don't know where to get started or they don't have somebody to guide them.
Yeah.
So that's amazing.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
And that now also takes me to, as I said, you're brilliant, you're co-founding things. That takes me to
Fully.
heartfulness.
Yes,
Tell us
yes.
a little bit more about heartfulness and wellness and mental health.
That's a good question. I want to say it's an experience. I think it's one of the best things that ever happened to my life. So Heartfulness is a company, it's an organization and educational company that offers mental health education and also organizational intelligence to companies and in schools. I think after graduating, I didn't have a job actually. I didn't have a job. When the United States, we have bills to pay. And here was one class that I had taken when I was a freshman in Stanford, and I had maintained the relationship with the mentor professor that had changed my life forever. And it's a class that I took at a time where I was navigating change in America and also lost because one of my relatives was really sick.
Sorry about that.
And I it's one of those things I felt like why are challenges always facing me when I was that young. And I remember walking into this class and it transformed me. By the end of the class, the type of education that is offered there by Dr. Shigematsu, it's an education that allows you to live life as it comes with the uncertainties, with the ambivalences of life. And there's always this glam and glitter of when you get into Ivy Leagues, everything is gonna be smooth.
Yeah.
No, it's not gonna be as smooth as it sounds. You're getting into a very competitive place. Classes are hard, in my opinion. And you're also navigating a new culture, new roommates. I was a low income student, so I had to navigate finding money. I remember when people were doing their choosing the first classes in the first week, I was busy looking for a job. So there was that, just being in that environment of, that type of environment. And I took Heartfulness, and I remember by the end of the class, I remember saying, I really love challenges. They make me who I am. They make me live, they make me a better person. And there's nothing better in this world than to have an attitude of taking life as it comes and knowing that regardless of what, you will still tackle it. You will still, even when beaten, even when, you will still persevere and things will be good. So that is when I took it, and I felt like a lot of other students were facing the same problems, academic pressures, family pressures, mental health issues. And I was like, this is an education that transforms the heart. I say Heartfulness gave me an unshakable place inside me that no difficulty can ever touch.
Oh wow.
And I want people to have that sense of inner belonging in themselves, that place inside you that is so sacred that nothing ever touches it. No person, no obstacle ever touches that place inside you that is sacred for you and your God. So that's how Heartfulness started.
Oh wow.
You had asked about mental health.
Yeah, like especially now that you've talked about mental health in the context of heartfulness, what do you think about it in the context of Africa in general?
That's a very good question.
And where we are at?
I think Africa, we are doing better. I think things like mental health challenges are a bit becoming more normalized right now, and things are progressing. But I also feel like we have a long way to go. And I think one of the biggest challenges here at home is there's a lot of systemic induced mental health challenges. For example, students go to school and help is not working. There's a lot of there's a lot of
Yeah.
systemic induced issues that even when I say, oh, breathe in, breathe, it's systemic, or hospitals are not working and your parents is sick. So there's a lot of systemic induced things that I think sometimes that not sometimes, most of the time, contribute to mental health, and jobs are not there and all that. So I think for Africa, I think maybe it's time for us to rethink, how can we systemically fight mental health? Because I think we have one of the best communities in the world. Africa has one of the best communities. You know your neighbor, you know your aunt, you visit each other. Then you wonder, what is the problem? Because I can tell you, in the States, like, it's an amazing place, but also there's a lot of capitalism, there's a lot of individualism, and maybe you don't know your neighbor. But those are not the challenges that you face here. The challenges that you're facing here is someone who's gone through university, they've scored an A, they don't have a job.
True.
So it's very systemic. So I would say maybe how can we look for it in a way that systemically fights it, rather than, I would say go to therapy, I would say all those things, but I think the biggest one is systemic. So we need to be innovative around that. But I also think it's about leadership and awakening to the macro challenges we face, and dealing with that. And while we are at it, I think maybe we need to rethink, if there are no jobs, what else can be done? Can we create our own jobs? Is that sustainable? Can we drive capital? I think it's more of a systemic thinking thing than an individual thing. I would say, yes, people here have issues, but it's one of the best communities ever, in my opinion. So, yeah.
And that's actually true. I hadn't necessarily looked at it in a systemic way, but it is very true, because like how many people are graduated and they don't have jobs. Or like there's this place I know some people are currently working, like call centers. It's very stressful and toxic to some extent. They pay people very little, regardless of whether you've been a university graduate or whatever. So people end up having mental health issues, and mostly it's just because either they're in a very bad environment, they are paid very poorly, or they don't have jobs. So if maybe we addressed we would be at a better place in comparison to like first world countries anyway. Because as you said, we have community.
And even I would say, like, maybe in other countries I would say mental health might be a personal issue or what, but here specifically, it's a country problem. It's a parliament budget problem, rather than an individual problem. So I would even say, if someone is facing mental health challenges and like life is hard, no jobs, hospitals are not working, I don't think it's personal, but also I think it's more systemic than you think. It's on you. It's about a failed maybe government and
failed systems,
rather than you being the problem.
I actually agree, honestly, 100%. Wakitusaidia kupata makazi, ama they create an enabling environment to start business and stuff like that, it would be a lot better. And for anyone out here, a young person just like you, maybe they're feeling stuck, they don't know where to get started, whether it's on pursuing their tertiary education or any of their dreams, what is that one thing that you would tell them?
Well, I may not be able to fully grasp the situation and what you're going through, and I actually, like, I have cousins, and I have I do understand that this is a tough environment for everyone, struggling to make it, struggling to make ends meet and all that. What I'd say is, if in your environment there's someone whom you feel, this person is always on my side, reach out to them, and reach out to them with maybe a project or something in mind, and see if you can get support for that. If that is not the case, think about what can you do, maybe for about 6 months or 1 year, save up money, move to the next thing. Sometimes we say people can help us, but also bootstrap success has always been there.
That's true.
Does it mean ulime kidogo, chape mayai kidogo, and then maybe you save up and then push yourself there? There is that. There's that sort of just seeing. Just think about logically how can I move from step 1 to A? If it's a prize, I need 10,000 to do this. How can we get that type of money to do that? So that can be one thing of observation. The other thing I would say is create opportunities where they are not. As I said, I did not have a job when I was graduating. I made one. And the thing is, if you find yourself in a position where you're just confronted with making things, one of the best things you can do is accept you're making things, and you're gonna make it, and not make you're gonna build something from scratch. And when building a house, it's literally, when you're building a company, when you're building something, ukianzisha hiyo biashara yako or whenever, it's literally building something. You start with digging, foundation. It's like taking care of a young child, you know. It's 1 day old, it's 2 day old. So if you find yourself in a position where you think you're actually called to build something and jobs are not working and all that, accept that you're building, give it patience, give it prayer if that works for you. Just accept that you're there and lock your mind into that. Then I'd say, if you have alumni of your school who have gone through the same process, reach out to people. Tell them I'm doing this. And don't reach out to one person. I'll tell you something. Reach out to 20 so that 2 will reply or 1 will reply. Let us work with statistics here. The more you cast, the bigger you cast out your net, the more fish you're probably gonna get. But the less you cast out your net and depend on one person or 2 people, it can be tricky. So cast your net wider and see if something will come, you know. And then what else am I thinking about even that situation? For me, prayer has always worked. I'm a very prayerful person. I ask God what I should do next. What is the move here? What is the, you know? And during those times, I believe the Holy Spirit tells me, do this, be patient, or this is a season of stress and grinding, and, you know, just so whatever works for you. So identify your success patterns. When you identify your success patterns, it's easy to replicate them and, you know, do more. I'd say so. But also that said, I do believe that maybe I'm speaking from a point of privilege and I may never fully grasp what you're going through. But I do believe that wisdom and whatever says something resonates. Yeah.
Okay, that's really good. And let me ask you a question. Is the grass greener on the other side when you think in the context of Kenya and America?
That's a very good question. I tend to say grass is greener where you are. It might be greener on the other side because, again, maybe the other side has less systemic issues and it's easy to move from one point to another. Stanford has so many opportunities that you had paid internships by the school and you had. So if you compare that grass of education with here, it is greener, you know.
Makes sense.
There's opportunity in other countries. That's true. But that said, grass is green on the other side, but you are on one side. You can spend time trying to get on the other side, or you can spend time trying to see what you can make with the grass on your side.
I actually agree.
Or you can do both. You can make with the grass on your side and try also to climb to the other side. I do want to say, sometimes people tell me that, oh, it's because you went abroad, it's because you got all these opportunities. And while that is the case, yes. But also when I look at that is the case, yes. But also when I look at these things, sometimes I think success is the character of the person rather than the things the environment contributes to it. Yes. But also let us come back to who is the person that is doing all these things, you know. You can give people clay, can they make pots? You know, that is the thing. So even when that is said, maybe you never get to these places, but see what is where you are in your side of the grass and make with that as other things happen. And I would really advise people to action. Just start doing. Start doing, because doing gives you information. And when you have information, you are more enlightened, you know?
True.
Maybe money is what inspires, but I would say start doing just even for information. Once you start doing that, you know. And when you know, your world expands. And I do believe the world awards, or it gifts the stubborn and the people who do. So that's what I would say, you know. Yeah.
Wow, so profound.
Yeah.
What's that one thing you would love to do, and the type of impact you'd love to leave with your company, especially in the context of Africa and helping young Africans access opportunities?
That's a good question. When I look at the long-term effect of whatever I want to do, is it's really tapping into the potential and the brilliant potential of young Africans.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea of this is to create a village of people, a group of people who are proud of where they come from,
Mm-hmm.
who know that the solutions to the challenges we are facing are right within us,
True.
and who are ready to do the work to build our continent, to build our, I'm not someone who is very aid oriented. I believe aid is good, but also do believe that if work is challenged into the right places, we have the right economic systems,
Mm-hmm.
we may never need to receive aid. So I want to build, I hope through the work that I'm doing, we build a global village of Africans and people who are proud of the communities that they come from.
Mm-hmm.
And when they go, it's not a matter of nitena nipotee,
Mm-hmm.
nipotelee huko.
Mm-hmm.
No, we come back, we build those schools, we do the work that we think people should do.
Yeah.
So really the idea is to come up with people who are just doers and conscious doers, not because of doing.
Mm-hmm.
Conscious doers, and say we want to build this and we are building it.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best places that I know is Starehe Boys, the alumni in Starehe Boys.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so amazing to see those boys go back and build their school. The resources are within them and they're just doing this amazing work. And I was like, we need more Kenyans and more African people who are like, let's go back, build our country, let's go back, do this. And that cannot be gotten from a point of where we think less of ourselves, or we think we cannot attain, or we think we think from a place of diminishment rather than from a place of we are all equal from all colors we are, and yes, there might be economical differences, but yeah.
I agree with that, by the way. If people can actually, you empower yourself, and then you find ways to empower other people, and then it becomes like a full circle moment, then there is gonna be a lot more change in the near future. And what's that one thing you would tell your younger self? In conclusion,
my younger self. I actually think my younger self was more bolder than me.
Really?
I think I would say, oh wow, I think my younger self was very empowered, I'll be very honest.
What changed? Or it's just another phase?
It's not, I'm still empowered and all that, but there's the empowerment of being ignorant and you don't know much,
I hear you. But I think there's some boldness. I hear whatever you are saying. Even me, when I look back, I feel like there was a time. Kuna boldness flani, yani, we used to have. It's like, ow. Yeah.
I think with her, I would dig deeper into self-acceptance. Self-acceptance, because I think also when you accept yourself, you accept others. You also accept how the world is.
True.
Rather than fighting how the world is. And when you accept how something is, you master it and you're able to better know how to approach it. So I would say you're bold, figuring things out, and cultivate self-acceptance. I think being bold, being it comes also with a lot of backlash. And that may think, oh, you have a problem, or and even though you survive that environment, you may survive that environment with bruises of maybe I'm always not a good person, but I survived. The idea is not to survive, the idea is really to enjoy your life and live fully.
True.
So I'd say cultivate self-acceptance. And I think self-acceptance is cultivated in even noticing the subtle things about life. Notice that I drink water maybe twice a day and thank God, such things. So look back and say that.
Honestly, thank you for sharing your journey with us. And I'll plug people to your website for your particular services as far as helping them prepare for global opportunities and a global mindset.
Yeah.
Yes, once the episode airs. And where can people actually find you on socials? Do you want them to follow you?
Yes, please follow me. My social media handle is Jackline.w.wambua. That is for Instagram, Facebook, and everything else. You'll also have my link in your podcast.
Yes, so, I'll do that.
Yes. But wait, actually I have something for my younger self.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Something that I'd tell my younger self would be invest in your personal finance education. Oh my God. So much of life is your dreams and your passions and all that. But one of the best things to know is money is a very essential part in navigating life, in making those dreams come true, in making everything come true. So I wish I had invested in my personal finance as early as 18, because all the money, the pocket money, I would have saved it in a lot of things. So I would say invest in your self-development, and part of the biggest self-development is personal finance. If you have all these dreams, no money, no. So say invest in those things, and also spend time with older people, spend time with mentors, see how life is really like, so that most of it, so that you don't look at life with a filter of ignorance. You know what is life. Most of us expect after graduation we get jobs immediately. That's not the case. Even with a good degree from Stanford, most people struggle with that. So I would invest in my personal finance. I'd also spend time with people who are older than me and ask them questions more, and see their journey and all that.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I like that, what you said about a filter of ignorance. Sometimes we are very ignorant. We just go with what we know and we don't explore or ask questions, and then we don't make the best of decisions.
Yeah.
And that finances part, hey, ask me. Hey. It's a story for another day, but I agree with you, Kabisa.
It actually comes down to the dollar, the cent. It does.
True.
It does. It does. Hey.
Yes.
So I would invest in that.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing your journey with us, your safari.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate it, and I can't wait to see where this goes, and especially even with with your company Heartfulness and the one that you're launching for helping students get opportunities. It's something very nice. I like that you're creative, innovative, and you are a doer. Yes. And you're making things happen. Yes. Yes. I have been your host. Until the next one.
Yay! I have been your guest, Jackline. Bye.